Hey, howdy folks, and welcome to the very first episode of Rampage's Recap. We're going to be taking a look at Raw, NXT, and Lucha Underground this week. Take a look at the matches, take a look at the shows, and see how they were. So let's start off. We're going to start off with looking at Raw. Show starts off with the contract signing. It says Stephanie McMahon out there. She calls out, well, she doesn't call out, they come out unannounced, being Ambrose, Reigns, Lesnar. Everyone signs the paperwork. Ambrose attacks Lesnar. Lesnar throws him into Reigns, takes the table, throws the table into Reigns, F5s Ambrose, and leaves. Sort of what we expected at this point. But not a bad way to start off. Build Lesnar up as a nice monster there. Our first match of the night, we have Dolph Ziggler taking on Kevin Owens. Great back and forth match. These guys can fight every single week, and I'd be happy. I know I've said that before, but I will say it again. These guys just go and they make it look fun. Well, it's fun for us to watch. In the end, Ziggler does get the win on this one. He gets the win when he actually rolls up Owens and grabs that, with his feet on the ropes, not grabbing the tights. It's a little heel move for Ziggler, but at the same time, Owens is to him. So we'll see where this goes. I'm guessing we'll get a match out of Fastlane out of these. The next match up we had was Charlotte versus Alicia Fox. Good back and forth match there. Alicia Fox is out there by herself. We don't have Brie Bella because she's backstage with Daniel Bryan, but we'll have more on that later. Charlotte does beat her with the figure 8 and has a clean win, which kind of surprises me at this point because Charlotte's entire character at this point is that she's Ric Flair's daughter. They're building her up to be the new dirtiest player in the game, and this time she goes out and beats Alicia Fox cleanly in the middle of the ring. It seemed a bit odd to me. We'll have to see where that goes. After that, we have a Miz TV segment. So Miz comes out, starts blathering about AJ Styles, how he got attacked last week. And at that point, before he can announce his guest, Jericho's music hits. Jericho comes out and says, "No one wants to see Miz TV, they want to see the highlight reel." And we get one of the greatest quick changes in the history of TV, live theater, whatever you want to call it. Technicians run out, they change out the apron in the ring, they fly in the Geritron 5000, I think it is at this point, 5500? Whatever the Geritron is, that comes down. They swap out the chairs, they bring in the stool, potted plant, the whole kit and caboodle, and Jericho turns it into the highlight reel. Pretty rad at that point. Two of them are exchanging words. The crowd starts chanting at Miz that he looks stupid. He responds he isn't Sheamus, so he can't look stupid. At which point AJ Styles' music hits. They both turn to look at the entrance ramp, and Miz attacks Jericho from behind. Styles comes in for the save. They both sort of team up, get rid of the Miz, and you get the face-off in the ring between the two of them, setting up another match between Jericho and AJ Styles. I'm super thrilled about this. I really like the chemistry that Jericho and AJ Styles have. It just leads more and more credence to AJ Styles. After that, we had Bray Wyatt defeats Ryback via Sister Abigail. I don't know what's going on with Ryback right now. They had a vignette building him up earlier in the night, and then he comes out and loses cleanly to the Wyatts, to Bray Wyatt in particular. I'm guessing this is a hype Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family for whatever they're going to move into for WrestleMania. Other strange thing is, what is up with Ryback's Goldberg ring gear? He's got the black trunks, the black knee pads, the black elbow pads. With the physique and the bald head, the crowd just chants Goldberg at him anyways, but now he's just sort of embraced it. Maybe Goldberg versus Ryback at WrestleMania? That would be pretty rad. We'll have to see where that goes. After that, we have the New Day backstage with Renee Young. They're sitting there talking about the table, measuring the table, and Renee Young is trying to figure out who their partner is going to be when they take on the Usos and the Dudley Boys later on that night. They don't know. And one of the most classic pranks I've seen in a long time, Xavier Woods hands her the calculator, and if you look at the calculator, it spells out boobies. Perfect. Someone said, the New Day is 10 years old and so are we. Absolutely. I thought it was a great moment for them. After that, we have Ambrose and Reigns backstage. Ambrose still wants to fight Lesnar. Reigns is like, okay, you're going to fight him, you're going to fight him. After that, we have Adam Rose defeats Titus O'Neil with a roll-up, and then just basically it's the Social Outcasts versus Titus O'Neil. In the end, distraction leads to Adam Rose getting the roll-up on him. We'll see where that goes. I'm really sort of digging the Social Outcasts. I wish they got a little bit more time on TV to get their personalities across. Like, each one of them individually is cool, but I don't quite feel like they're coalescing as a group yet. I don't know, Titus O'Neil has not quite hit on that something that's going to make him stick with me. He's a good guy, he's decent in the ring, but I don't know, his character and personality doesn't connect for me. After that, we do have Ambrose goes out to the ring. He calls out Lesnar. They fight. Lesnar beats the crap out of him, F5s him in the middle of the ring, goes to walk away. They get halfway up the entrance ramp, and Ambrose is crawling up. You ain't got me yet. So Heyman's into shock. Lesnar's shocked. They go back down to the ring. They're getting ready to pound Ambrose even more, and Reigns' music hits. And he's not in the crowd. By God, he's on the entrance ramp for the first time ever. Lesnar and Heyman look confused by this, which allows Ambrose to get the low blow and then sort of roll away and go up to the entrance ramp and recoup with Roman Reigns. Strange segment, but it gets the point across. Ambrose is crazy. So crazy that he just sort of shakes off the F5, but not completely. After that, we have Rusev and Del Rio taking on the Lucha Dragons. Del Rio does get the win with double foot stomp off the corner in the trio woe position. Decent match. And you've got the only two members of the League of Nations that can still wrestle at this point. Barrett's out with an injury. Sheamus is out with an injury. So I guess we have a mini League of Nations. After that, we have Tamina versus Becky Lynch. You got Sasha Banks on commentary for that. And I have to say, I think she's one of the people that's perfect on commentary. She doesn't take too much away from what's going on in the ring when she's there. Other people, like the Bella Twins in the past, are sort of overpowering when they're on commentary, and they don't get back to talking about what's going on in the ring. In the end, Sasha Banks does get up on the ring apron. Naomi basically sweeps her legs, tosses her off the apron, and at that point, Becky Lynch does eat a super kick, and Tamina gets the win. First time in a long time for Tamina to get a win, which is pretty cool to see. She is booked as the enforcer, so it's nice to sort of see her have some clout in the ring as well. After that, we have New Day revealing their partner is going to be Mark Henry. He puts on the unicorn headband, he asks to use the trombone, plays something horribly on the trombone, and basically we have our match. Usos and the Dudley Boys versus the New Day and Mark Henry. A little bit into the match, Mark Henry's done. They're too much of a goofballs, not his thing. He walks out on them, leading to the Dudleys putting, who was it? The Big E with a 3D through the table. Afterwards, Usos and the Dudleys celebrate. Dudleys then turn on the Usos and put one of them through a table. We'll see what happens here. We have more swerves in this than I guess the last episode of Nitro that Vince Russo wrote. But we'll have to see where it goes. I do like the fact that Bubba Ray pulls out the "Do you know who we are?" I really like these sort of channeling Bully Ray, sort of the TNA-esque personality he had for a while, which I think is really cool. I thought he does that really well, and to see him go from that back to Bubba Ray and be sort of more of a caricature of himself was kind of painful for me. So we'll have to see where this goes. And after this, we do have Daniel Bryan's retirement speech, which I will admit, my eyes were sweating for about the entire 15 minutes he was out there, but it was tough to watch. But unfortunately, when you can't wrestle anymore, he has to hang it up. I don't think we'll see him back in the WWE for a while. I think that it sounds like he had such an emotional connection to wrestling that being around it would be really hard. But I wouldn't be surprised if in a year or so we see him come back with maybe some sort of on-screen authority figure going into the Hall of Fame. But I think that's going to be a year or so down the road. And that wraps up Raw for this week. Okay, and from Raw, we are going to move on to NXT. Our first match of the night was Baron Corbin versus Johnny Gargano. Really fun match there. I really started to enjoy Gargano. I like the fact that he sort of had his full entrance this time. I think he had a new Titantron video. I don't think we've gotten to him with the full entrance before, so it feels like they're getting more behind him. Baron Corbin, it's another Baron Corbin match. I don't know what he's missing. He's got the look, he's got the size, but I want to dislike him. I dislike him not because he's dislikable, but just because it feels like he's missing something. There's something that's not quite there and not connecting, and that makes me want to dislike him being on the show. Not that I'm disliking his character. After that, we have Sami Zayn backstage. He's not happy to face Samoa Joe, but he will do it. He will fight him next week. He will not let Joe come between him and being the first ever two-time NXT champion. From there, we move on, and we have the Hype Bros, being Zack Ryder and Mojo Rawley, taking on John Skyler and Corey Hollis. Don't know too much about Skyler and Hollis. They had a good match with the Hype Bros. The Hype Bros seem to be on fire this week. And they do get the win via the Hype Rider. Which I have to say, I looked at that initially as sort of a crazy move, but I don't know. It just everything seemed to sync up this week. They seemed to be a good team. The move connected well, and I was hyped. I think that's what counts. After that, we have Alexa Bliss, who defeats Cameron via the Sparkle Splash. And I have to say, Alexa Bliss, for someone who, 6 to 8 months ago, looked like a cheerleader out of Frozen, to her new, sort of sassy, villainous persona, has come miles. I think she really connects well with the crowd. Everyone's turned on her at this point. Cameron's come a long way. I was really surprised at how far she's come since the last time I've seen her wrestle. And the two of them put on a pretty good match. I really enjoyed it. I think Alexa Bliss would be great in a group. Her, Blake, and Murphy as a tandem is great. I like Blake and Murphy being her cheerleaders. When they're tag team champions, it feels like she's the tag team champion. Those belts belong to her, and they're just sort of there. But I think adding her to Nia Jax and Eva Marie would be like the atomic heat cluster of NXT. You'd have Nia Jax as the brute force. You'd have Alexa Bliss being your technical sort of finesse wrestler, and Eva Marie just to crank the heat up to 1,000,000 at that point. The next match we had was Elias Samson versus Jesse Sorensen. Samson's character's strange. The whole drifter bit, it could be a cool thing, but Corey Graves no-sold the gimmick the entire match with bad Nickelback references. This guy doesn't know how to play guitar. He sits around and listens to the jukebox. Really bizarre there. At the same time, Samson is just crisp in the ring. I've been watching a lot of old Nitro, and he sort of reminds me of Chris Benoit in the way he executes those moves with such a sort of crisp finish to them. In the end, Samson does defeat Jesse Sorensen, who I'm still really surprised to see wrestling. Heck, Zema Ion broke his neck when he hit that moonsault on him in TNA a few years ago. Just to see him come back and compete on this level, I think is amazing. And the last thing I'd say is the crowd was definitely not behind Samson. With the whole drift away chants throughout the course of the match. I don't think that's anything they planned for, but as soon as the crowd hit that, the smile across his face, the sort of creepy smile of embracing that, I enjoyed. I think it's the first time his character has connected with the crowd. And if they dislike him, so be it, but that's a reaction. After that, we have one of my favorite promos of the entire week. You have Enzo and Big Cass backstage talking about they're going to fight, who is it? Dash and Dawson for the tag team titles. That's who they want to go after. Because they are tag team of the year, and they're going to be tag team of the year next year, well, this year because they were last year. And they're going to be back-to-back tag team champions, and they start singing the song. And awkwardly, Chad Gable comes in, tries to sing, totally botches the words. The Jason Jordans are looking embarrassed over his shoulder. At that point, Chad Gable very casually drops the fact that this is 2016, and it's an Olympic year. Long pause. And Cass sort of breaks it this way. So, you're saying this is the Olympic year, and you guys are Olympic athletes, so this is going to be your year. Yeah, of course that's what I meant. And it's kind of crazy bickering back and forth, but these four guys have a lot of charisma together, and I really enjoyed watching them go at it. And at the end, you have Gable breaks out the towel. He's like, okay guys, here we go. We are ready, willing, and everyone says their own name or something different and just walks off in different directions, leaving Chad Gable holding the towel. Great moment. I really enjoyed it. From there, we go to our main event of the evening, which is Bayley taking on Carmella. This was a really good back and forth match. I enjoyed it a lot. Carmella's come a long way in the past year since she's been on NXT. It's a little bit slower of a match than Bayley usually wrestles, but still, it was a really enjoyable match. In the end, they start trading pinfalls, reversals back and forth, and in the end, Bayley does get the upper hand and gets the pinfall. At the end, you get the emotional moment. Carmella gives her a hug. They hug in the middle of the ring. Carmella goes to leave as Bayley celebrates, which is when Carmella gets jumped by Nia Jax and Eva Marie on the outside and just absolutely destroyed. Bayley runs out there to try to rescue her, throws a few forearms at Nia Jax, throws a few attacks at Eva Marie, and then she gets laid out. Nia throws Eva Marie over her shoulder, goes down to the ring, throws her in the ring, hits a couple of leg drops, holds her up so Eva Marie can get a shot when Asuka shows up. And Asuka is amazing. She basically gets up on the apron and just stares down Nia Jax with a sort of maniacal, Joker-like grin she has. Gets into the ring, stands toe-to-toe with her, not backing down. Nia Jax isn't backing down. And then you get Eva Marie behind her at the up. Hey, come on, let's go. Come on. This not a, we don't want to do this. And she sort of talks Nia Jax down, and basically they leave. At that point, Bayley's recovered. Bayley gets up in the ring. She's got her title. Gets sort of a stare down between the two of them. And Asuka sort of does a little head tilt, a little crazy grin, and just brushes the NXT Women's Championship and walks away. Amazing segment there. Without saying a word, Asuka has completely let everyone know her intentions there. I thought it was perfect. The very last thing we end the show with is we cut to Samoa Joe backstage. He says Zayn's ungrateful for everything that he's done for him over the years, and that he is going to be the next NXT champion. And that's what we close NXT on this week. From there, hydration. From there, we move on to Lucha Underground. This week we start out with Cobra Moon taking on Bengala. It's a little bit of a slower back and forth match, but Cobra Moon, I'm really impressed by. She's got a unique character and unique presentation. Someone on Twitter said that she moves like a Mortal Kombat character. And if you think of the way like Reptile moves, that's what she does. She sort of slithers and sort of sways her way through the ring. And she hit some crazy moves in the course of the match. She hit this kind of amazing slingshot head scissors from the ring to the outside and hit the head scissors on Bengala. Cool back and forth match. She wins with the snake sleeper. It looks like some sort of dragon sleeper sort of variant there. Cool match, cool debut. We'll have to look forward to seeing where she goes from here. From there, they cut to Katrina's office, where Phoenix barges in and basically says he wants revenge against King Cuerno. He wants revenge against Mil Muertes, and he wants revenge against Katrina as well. Cut away. We come back from the commercial break, and we go back in time. A millennia ago. You got this small child by the fireside, and he's talking about prophecies. And he's talking about the 7 tribes are at war. And then you hear another voice that says, the tribes must be reunited to stop what's coming. And what is coming? The gods in the form of man. The child, or the man at this point, responds back to Aerostar that the gods will not return for 1,000 years. Which, at that point, Aerostar responds that then he will go to them. And he has this incredible moment where he turns into Tony Stark, essentially. He's got the disc on the center of his chest, it lights up. He's got, like, sparkles that shoot out of his boots, and he flies off and leaves. Very much, I must go, my people need me now. They look down at the burn marks in the sand, it looks like it's been cast into stone, and it looks like it's the 7 insignias of the tribes, which is also the gift of the gods title, I'm pretty sure. But, crazy little segment there. So at this point, canonically, Aerostar is either 1,000 years old, or able to travel through time. And he can fly. I love this show, folks. I really do. From there, we have King Cuerno out back working out. Katrina shows up and says he didn't finish the job last week. He was sent to destroy Phoenix. And he tells her, that he did what he was supposed to do. He beat Phoenix. Katrina says, yeah, that's not really what you were set to do. They exchange a few threats. She says that Mil Muertes, even with a bad wing, they'll take him out. But she's going to give Cuerno one more match with Phoenix in a match that he's never lost. Last luchador standing. That's pretty amazing. From there, we have what at this point is one of my favorite matches in the history of Lucha Underground. We get Jack Evans versus Drago. And in this match, Jack Evans plays the most amazing heel you can play in Lucha Underground. He has a technical match with Drago, and basically borderline technical / brawling. He doesn't go to the top rope. He doesn't do any dives. He doesn't do any high-flying moves. He has a few flips in the ring. He has like a hand spring into the corner and stuff, but he keeps it all low-key. It's ground and pound, double axe handle to Drago over and over again. In the end, he hits sort of a flip pinfall on Drago and has his foot on the ropes and gets the pinfall. Gets the most amazing heel heat for not flying. This ranks up there with Xavier Woods not playing the trombone when the crowd wants him to. Post-match, he interrupts Melissa Santos, which is a big no-no. You don't interrupt Melissa Santos when she's announcing you the winner. He basically tells off Vampire and Matt Striker, gets up on their announce table, and declares himself the winner, and then he stops halfway through. He's like, I'm not just Jack Evans. I'm Jack, the Dragon Slayer Evans. Beautiful, perfect segment. I have never seen the crowd in Lucha Underground that worked up. It was beautiful. From there, we have a vignette about Tejano, talking about him coming from a wrestling family. He's had to work for everything his entire life. Always has to fight for everything. Nothing's been given to him. Shows him out on the farm. It shows him saddling horses. Shows him chopping wood. Shows him just tearing apart wood with his bare hands. Basically, he's a big, tough dude. That's Tejano. From there, we cut to him in a bar, sitting there drinking, flirting with the bartender. Luchador on one side, Luchador on the other side. You can guess where this is going to go. Big fight. You've got the two Luchadors that attack Tejano. He beats them down. More Luchadors show up. The bartender, she smiles at him, hands Tejano his bull rope. He uses it to break a chair that someone's swinging at and breaks a bottle someone else is trying to hit him with. Lays these guys out. Pays the bartender. Gets another drink. Takes his beer, drinks it, puts it down on the table, and just crushes the glass in his hand. Next week, Tejano's coming. Perfect segment. It establishes him as the rough and tumble guy. It actually also goes into a little bit of his history with Blue Demon and Chavo Guerrero. And them, it just summed him up nicely and didn't go into too much of the history of Del Rio or him being a good guy or a bad guy from last season. He just established him as Tejano is an ass kicker and he's going to be here next week. Which is really all we needed to know. It was perfect. From there, we have Puma backstage in the locker room. And he's rocking this killer hoodie. It's got sort of this tribal pattern of yellow on yellow. And if you guys are watching this, please release that hoodie. I will pay good money for it. Let me know how I can get a Prince Puma hoodie, please. Katrina shows up and says that she heard Conan's last word when he was in the casket. And his last words were, "Forgive me." And the question becomes, is he asking for forgiveness for his actions, or is he asking forgiveness for failing Puma? And she lets that sink in for a minute. And then she casually reminds Puma that next week he is going to be facing Pentagon Jr., and maybe he'll make a good sacrifice to Pentagon Jr.'s master. From there, we have our main event. We have King Cuerno taking on Phoenix. Amazing back and forth match. Crazy spots with Cuerno hitting the air from the depths of hell, diagonally across the ring. He uses the ladder on the outside, nearly decapitates Phoenix. He's got Phoenix down and out, and he tells the referee to stop the 10 count. Pulls out a table, goes to set it up, and he goes to put Phoenix through the table, but Phoenix reverses it, and Phoenix starts climbing up the ladder that's been leaned against what used to be Dario Cueto's office. Phoenix is climbing up, he's almost at the top. Cuerno follows him up the ladder, but in the end, Phoenix, up on top, pushes the ladder back. Cuerno falls well on the ladder, falls backwards through the table. Boom. Referee makes the 10 count, and Phoenix is your winner. The Gift of the Gods title was not on the line, so King Cuerno still is your Gift of the Gods champion. Then we get our end credits. But much like a Marvel movie, you always watch Lucha Underground through the end credits. We see a woman walking through a high security area. She uses the key card to get in, and we see it's some sort of a police task force. She's sitting at a table, and across from her we see Cortez. But to her, he is not Cortez Castro, a member of the crew. No, he is Officer Reyes, Ricky Reyes. And she's grilling him on what's going on. He says the crew has been invited back to the temple. And she says, you know what, I'm not worried about all that low-key stuff. I don't care that Bale was fed to Matanza. I don't care about Chavo Guerrero. I don't care about any of that stuff. She only wants one thing. Dario Cueto. What does she want him for? We don't know. We'll have to find out. But she says that Officer Reyes is not going in alone. He's got a partner. And they bring in Joey Ryan. With the aviators and the badge. Absolute perfect. He looks like Porn Stash from Orange is the New Black. It's a beautiful moment when he comes in. And she basically says, you guys are to go in, you're going to go in there and work together, but pretend that you don't like each other. and they trade this absolute look of hatred, and they're like, that's not going to be hard. Perfect way to end the show. I thought this show was amazing from top to bottom. So that's it, folks. That's the first episode of Rampage's recap. I hope that you enjoyed it. Down below, you'll be able to find links to my Facebook and my Twitter. If you have any questions, you can also leave those in the comments down below. Please like this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Please share it. And we'll see you guys next week.